Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Dee Dee. We are the hilarious outcome of opposing brains sharing a mutual desire to share knowledge and positive thinking about hemp and cannabis.
We are here to tear down the walls built by Big Pharma and other big companies that seek to keep the human race in fear and divided.
We are here to shatter the myths about hemp and cannabis and change the stigma of this amazing plant. Welcome to Hemp and Happiness with the Hemp Queen
And Emperor.
Podcast. Join us as we venture into this misunderstood and the unknown. Hey, happy hempsters. Thanks for joining us. Sorry. I think I'm still waking up a little bit. But thanks for joining us as we dive into some more interesting topic of conversation today. This has really been hitting home with us because we always strive to provide the best quality products, and we get a lot of people that ask us about other products that we have chosen not to carry. And Matt is definitely going to go in and explain some of this and talk about why synthetic cannabinoids aren't what you think they are. So let's just dive right in, Matt.
Well, it's not just me.
No, of course I'm going to offer my opinion.
I have a few facts. And here's the thing, too, is it's really interesting because it's actually kind of the dark side of the industry where it's really hard to find facts right now. And there's a lot of claims. So, just to dive right in, there's basically two different types of cannabinoids out there today. There are naturally occurring cannabinoids, of which there have been discovered approximately 115. It is believed that there could be more. They're still searching, but that is what's naturally occurring. Then what we have that is not as new as you would think are synthetic cannabinoids. Those are cannabinoids that don't exist in nature. They're created in a lab by human beings.
Right.
So there's a lot of controversy right now as to what's synthetic and what is legitimate in that what is naturally occurring.
Right. And they're calling them designer cannabinoids.
Right.
So it is.
That is a synthetic.
It's a synthetic. Exactly.
So.
And keep in mind, Matt and I spoke to one of the chief scientific officers from one of the companies that we buy some product from to try and get the explanation as to what the deal was with these designer cannabinoids. And after our meeting, Matt and I kind of looked at each other like, yeah, we're not carrying that stuff.
Yeah, because here's what it came to be is there are a lot of people claiming that they found new cannabinoids. That's not necessarily the case. And I'm not going to say that's not true because I'm not a scientist.
Right.
I don't have the appropriate credentials or research to tell you that they're not naturally occurring. But as Dee Dee just mentioned, we spoke with a scientist with those credentials who actually manufactures those cannabinoids, who has told us very outright that they are synthetic and that they are not naturally occurring. Now, that is different from a conversion of one cannabinoid to another.
Correct.
And that happens frequently in the industry, which we're okay with.
Right.
Because in all reality, it's very difficult to produce CBD without there being some form of conversion process.
Yeah, because it comes out as CBDA.
Right.
So you have to convert it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So there is a process there, and that process can be as natural as heating something. There are some other processes involved depending on the cannabinoid profile, but it's a fairly gentle product, and what the end product is natural.
Right.
It exists within nature.
Right.
So the conversion process in the industry is unavoidable, and as far as I can tell from my research, a harmless process. Now, when you're developing synthetic cannabinoids, you're taking a natural cannabinoid and you're hydrogenating it, which means you're adding hydrogen molecules. Now, the hydrogenization has been a big buzzword because everyone is now terrified of trans fat. And hydrogenization is what creates trans fat. So
That's bad for you.
we've already decided that this is a bad process.
Right.
So,
Why would you want to put it in your cannabinoids?
yeah, so then we're going to start taking something that's supposed to be a health and wellness, make us feel better, but we're going to introduce something that we believe is, had this lipid issue, potential cancer, heart disease, all kind of things. So that's a problem. Not only that, in some of these designer cannabinoids, they're introducing heavy metals like nickel and palladium, which heavy metals in the body is not good.
That don't sound good.
So, I don't want to pick on them, but I'm going to pick on them because we don't know enough about the naturally occurring cannabinoids yet to go ahead and start playing God with that.
Right. Why are you making synthetic ones? Why don't you figure out what the good ones are?
That's a good question.
I mean, that
And
makes no sense to me.
There's two reasons. So HHC, which is one of the hot ones right now, there's two reasons why it's created.
Didn't they use HHC to make spice with?
Well, I'm getting to that.
All right.
You're jumping the
I'm
gun.
sorry.
You're
Sorry.
I know. So HHC was designed for two reasons. One, because it has a stronger bind on the receptors than THC. Is that good? I don't know. I mean, how strong of a bond do you need? And two, because it allegedly will make it through some drug tests undetected.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what's made HHC hot. Now, again, I'm skeptical that about the drug test thing. I would question that, and I would question
too.
the people that are making this HHC. Are they not going to go ahead and throw some other shit in there?
Right.
What's the likelihood of that? I would say pretty high. So that's just one. Another hot one right now are the synthetic THCs. You've got THCO and THCP are the big ones right now. So just to give you an idea, these cannabinoids have been synthesized to be more potent and have a stronger bond to the receptors than a naturally occurring THC.
Yeah.
In some cases, particularly with THCO, it has enhanced the psychedelic effect to the point where it is not dissimilar from LSD. So the psychoactive bond of THC is something that's very controversial, and we've covered this in other podcasts. There's been concerns of people predisposed to schizophrenia, taking too much or medicating with this cannabinoid inappropriately, so on and so forth. So you got something that's a way stronger bond, has a way more intense psychedelic effect. Could that potentially make it addictive or habit forming? I don't know, but it seems to me that there's a potential for that. There's also a potential that it may adversely affect your brain chemistry. So just really a couple things you need to think about. THCP is 300 times more effective at binding to the CB1 receptor than Delta-9 THC.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah, it is.
That's a bit much.
Yes.
That is a bit much.
And THC acetate, which is just generically referred to as THCO, is triple the strength of a Delta-9. So if you're having 1 milligram of THCO, it would be the equivalent of having 3 milligrams of Delta-9 THC.
Yeah.
So that's things to be aware of. These are really being created to be more potent, to get people who are already potentially overusing THC to have something even stronger to then overuse. But the difference with this overusage is we don't know how it's going to affect the body and the mind long term.
And that's why you and I chose not to sell it.
Right.
I mean, we had a vendor send us HHC gummies, and we're like, I don't know what the hell to do with these.
Yeah.
We don't want them.
Yeah.
We don't want to possibly hurt somebody with a product we're selling.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, that's why Matt and I do our homework. That's why we question all our vendors. You know, we want to make sure that they are following all the FDA guidelines as far as good manufacturing practices, things like that. That stuff's important. Testing's important.
Right.
And a lot of these new designer cannabinoids, they're not even on the testing.
Right. And just how it's extracted is important to us.
Well,
when you're hydrogenating and adding heavy metals and basically, producing something in a meth lab type scenario, the extraction process is out the window at that point.
Right.
It doesn't matter. You are introducing hazardous chemicals to the human body to something that you're selling someone to ingest. And again, are they currently illegal? No, they're legal. Does that mean it's a good idea? No. So you can't.
And we fought really, really hard. I worked my ass off to keep Delta 8 legal here in the state. But that is one cannabinoid that's naturally occurring.
Right.
Or they're using CBD isolate. And I'm fine with that too.
Right.
Pressure and heat and all that stuff, and the fact that it gets tested. But a lot of these other designer cannabinoids, no, thank you.
Well, and here's the thing: is cannabis, hemp, whatever you want to call it, has been used for thousands of years as a herbal remedy for a lot of things.
Yep.
I don't necessarily agree with, but I can understand engineering a cannabis plant to produce a higher amount of THC. I can understand engineering a cannabis plant to produce less THC and more CBD. There's ways to do that naturally. There's ways, crossbreeding, cloning, feminizing, all kinds of things that you can do naturally to create a profile on a product that has worked successfully for humans for thousands of years.
Yeah.
The fact that we want to take that to the next step, I understand it's human nature to want to evolve and improve things. I don't know that the research is there to make that a good idea right now, and I don't know that it makes sense anyway.
Right.
It's part of the whole consumerism, bigger, stronger, more potent, and then more dangerous. And the legalities are just that.
Yeah.
It's either someone hasn't caught on to it yet, or there is money behind it that's stopping people from making it illegal. And what it could end up doing is hurting the other portions of the industry that are working so hard to legitimately make ground.
And that's what I worry about too, because, fighting for the Delta 8 and in this particular state, and obviously other states are having those same issues, but they're wanting to fight that federally and make it where it is 1% total THC, including the D8s, the THCVs, all of it all together.
Right.
And that would really hurt the industry as far as the Delta 8 market goes.
Well, and that's to circle back to the spice thing. This is how spice got started.
Yep.
K2 or Mojo. Yep. I mean, there's a million different names for it.
Yeah.
But it was legal. You could go.
Yep.
I remember going to the
gas station.
I remember going to the gas. I remember going to the flea market and people having bags of it in the little pop-up booths.
Yep.
I did have a employee at my previous company commit suicide while taking salts, hung himself in a closet. And that was not the only story that I knew about like that. So, again, these are synthetic. They're not. They're not naturally
and
occurring.
that's why we don't carry them.
Right. And when that flows into the rest of the industry and they say, well, look what these people are doing, well, who's going to blame that martyr that comes up and says it's killing people?
Yeah.
And then, the whole industry gets sucked into that. So I think as an industry as a whole, it's our responsibility to set the standard. The FDA has pretty much proven themselves to be worthless. Hands
for
off.
sure.
We're not going to touch it. and don't you say anything about it either, which is a whole other can of worms. But it starts with the industry, and it starts with us as consumers deciding what we are and aren't okay with putting in our body. And I think we've lost sight of that in a lot of ways in our culture.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we really want to believe that everything is enhancing and everything's good for us and everything's better for us. But the reality is there's a lot of people cranking out a lot of crap that they want you to put in your bodies.
Right, and it's all about money.
To improve their bottom line.
Yeah. And that's just a shame. I mean, you can't have integrity in every business, right?
Well, but it's coming to a head.
Yeah.
I think it's coming to a head.
It is.
And I think that...
I think 23 is going to make a lot of changes in the industry. I really do.
You know, and hopefully change is coming for us as individuals. And thereby our culture is changing, that just because someone says it's okay, we don't believe it's okay. Or just because someone says it's not okay doesn't mean it's not okay. Independent thought, critical thinking, getting your head out there.
Yep.
Going past the first page of Google.
Which, hey, wait a minute, we're on the first page.
Okay, so yeah, that's business. Okay, if you do research, which I would encourage you to on any of these topics, don't settle for what's on the first page of Google.
For sure.
Because what's on page 1 is what people have paid for you to see. That's not the real info.
And you know, most people don't realize that, because they'll say something, well, I read on Google. I'm like, you read someone's opinion on Google. They just have good Google analytics, and they've been around for a while, so their page comes up first. That's all it is.
Yeah. No good info source makes it to page 1 independently.
No.
Just like, I wrote a really good article.
Yeah, no.
And boom, it went viral and was on page 1.
But most people don't realize that. They think they're getting the legit information off page 1 of Google, and it's not true.
The real information is out there, but it's buried in a sea of crap.
Right.
Not an accident, because a lot of times they don't want you to find that. They want to direct your
there
narrative.
was a hemp company, a very well-known hemp company, who had heavy metal in their products, because in the beginning, you know, we weren't growing hemp here. We were getting it from Europe.
Right.
And then when they were bringing it here and processing it, there was heavy metals in it. Well, wouldn't you know, that report is probably like on page 30 of Google now. Yeah. I mean, it is very, very, very hard to find. And, you know, that company, they just swept it under the rug. They paid thousands upon thousands and thousands and thousands, and just bombarded Google with other things. So that got completely hidden. Yeah. So, I mean, it happens. I know that firsthand.
It's the conspiracy theory dissolution. Have you heard of that? Where if for every legitimate conspiracy theory there is out there, they don't remove it, because that would validate it. So what they do is they'll surround it with 1,000 other ridiculous conspiracy theories that you'd have to wade through to find that one piece that's legitimate.
Which makes sense.
They don't hide information anymore. Everything's in plain sight. You just have to sift through so much garbage. That would be a good algorithm, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh, yeah.
Writing an algorithm that would sift through all the crap. If there's a hacker out there and you want to do good, you want to be like the freaking... Spider-Man of hacking, that would be an awesome algorithm. I would buy that to where it's like you could somehow get to the actual core truth that exists within the digital ether. But who knows? Nice. Hey, things are changing. You got to be positive. You got to stay up. I'm not giving up on people, and I don't think you should either.
Well, I'm not giving up on people, but
it's tough. It's tough. And it's about moving from a, purely commercial money-based society to a society where we legitimately are looking out for one another,
Well, I mean, that's why I opened the store. That's why, I mean, I'll never forget, that was one of the reasons that made me open the store. One of our health food stores was carrying a brand that uses butane to extract with. I am not a fan. I've been told that it burns off in the system, in the process, blah, 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 blah. I just don't believe that anything that is used with butane to make something that's supposed to be a healthy product for us should be used and put back in our bodies. I'm very anti that. So that's really what made me open the store, because I wanted people to have legit, good quality products from a reliable source. And, that's why we don't carry freaking synthetic cannabinoids. It's How do I know that that's good for someone? I don't.
Right. And we lose money for that.
Well, yeah, we do. We do,
we
unfortunately.
lose a market share for that.
I just worry about the people that are taking that kind of stuff and they don't know what it's doing to their body.
Well, they don't.
No.
Because no one does.
No.
Because it's not been tested.
How many people have you been told, that have said, you shouldn't take too much Tylenol because it does damage to your liver?
Right.
Hello? How do you not know what the synthetic cannabinoids are doing to your body? We don't. Right. We have no clue.
Right.
So
we need to be doing research on what legitimate cannabinoids do to our body.
Exactly. And stick with those. Stick with the legitimate stuff. Like, I don't even like using fake cheese.
If it's worked,
if it's the singles, no.
If it's worked for the last 20,000 years,
right? Natural's best, people.
Why change it?
Natural's best.
And if you can't consume enough cannabis to get high,
oh my Lord, take a break.
Take a day off.
Yeah, a couple days.
Go for a walk.
Reset your ECS.
Do some burpees. Burpees are good. Stimulate your metabolism.
Right.
Do a cleanse, whatever. Don't go looking for the next stronger thing, because that therein by reinforces the whole gateway drug conspiracy.
Well, and there are concentrated forms of cannabis and THC. You can get dabs, and I would prefer someone do dabs over these synthetic cannabinoids. So,
the point is that they have no legitimate purpose.
None.
That I can find.
None.
And people telling you that they're naturally occurring, I would question that. I'm not going to say that they're not. Again, I'm not a scientist. The only people that say that they're naturally occurring are the people trying to sell them.
Yep.
That's what I found in my research. And then you don't have there's no one in the middle.
Right.
It's either, this stuff is deadly, will kill you. And then there's the people who are like, it's perfectly fine. No problem. It's great. By the way, I've got a deal on it. 20% off. So you really, you're going to have to juggle that yourself.
Yeah.
But
we're
what
here.
We've seen,
we try to look out for you.
And what we've seen with synthetic cannabinoids is nothing good happens. And spice was the prime example of that. So anyway.
Yeah. So take it from us. We do try to look out for y'all, and we care about you, and just try to stick with natural, safe, healthy, natural, But yeah.
Agreed.
I would tell you to follow us on social media, but as of this recording, our Facebook page is still down. Listen to the previous podcast, but definitely follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram.
Our Facebook will be back up by the time.
Yeah, I hope. Yes, we're going to be positive it will be. We do have a makeshift one if need. But definitely sign up for our newsletter. And if you have any questions, send us an email to info@502hemp.com. And, just always do your research and stay committed to your health and your happiness, and we will do our best to always carry quality products, and that's what we strive for at 502 Hemp. Yeah, I'm gonna do a little plug right there. So, but as always, thank you guys for listening. Definitely share and like this, and always question everything, and there's people you can trust and there's people that you can't, and just keep that in mind when you are buying products. And don't forget to keep it hempy out there.
See ya.
Bye. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Hempin' Happiness with the Hemp Queen
and Emperor.
Keep your mind ever open and expanding. Like, subscribe, review, follow us, all the good stuff. And
keep it hempy out there.